Hello and welcome. This video is about Git and GitHub and how you can use them within RStudio. Everybody who programs or works quantitatively should know how to work with Git and GitHub. You can use them for easy backups of your project. You can use them when you collaborate with 2 or more people on one project. And even if you work as an individual on a project, they can help you when you work with 2 different computers on the same project. So, what's the difference between Git and GitHub? The most important difference is that Git is an application on your computer, while GitHub is a cloud service. Git stores backups of your project on your computer, and we call these backups commits. They are milestones of your project work, and you can always go back to these milestones, to these commits. So it stores the complete history of your project, and this history is called a repository. Git basically does all the work. GitHub stores these repositories in the cloud, and it allows other computers to sync with these repositories. This is a way you can collaborate or you can work on different computers. After the initial setup, it is very easy to manage Git and GitHub from RStudio just with a few clicks. For this tutorial, we assume that you already have installed a GitHub account and that Git is already installed on your computer. What is extremely important is that the username and email on Git and GitHub are the same. If they're not, the syncing will not work. Okay, now let's create a repository on GitHub. I have GitHub already open and I'm logged in. I go to the plus sign here in the upper right, create a new repository. I give it a name. I call it demo repository, and I can choose if it's public or private. I choose private. I decide to add a README file, and you will see in a minute why. And I choose for git ignore. This is a selection of files that will be not synchronized. I choose R and I create my repository. After I have done that, I go here to the Code tab and I copy the address of my GitHub repository. I copied it to the clipboard, but you can copy it in different ways. What I have to do next, and I leave GitHub open, I have to create my credentials, and they are stored in what is called a token. For this, I just copy this URL here, open a new window, and copy the URL. And here I can see I have no token at this point. I generate a new token, and I generate a classic token. That's good enough. And I need my password here, enter it. I have to give my token a name. I call it again, demo rep token. And I have to choose the scope of that token. So choose repo, choose workflow, and choose user. Generate token, and here's my token, and you want to copy this token here. I copy it into the clipboard, and now I'm ready to work with RStudio. To do this, I have to install the uses package, and I can do this with this command. I have done it already. And it's a very good idea to double check if my Git really has the same username and email than my GitHub, and I can use this command for it. And if it doesn't, you can use this command here and enter the correct username and email address. I have checked already, everything is fine on my side, so I can now go to RStudio, and the first step is I enter my credentials from the token. When I will be asked for the password instead of the password, I will just copy and paste the token. As you can see, I have opened RStudio and I typed the command to add my credentials, or better my token, to RStudio already. I just execute it by hitting enter in the console, and it will ask for my password, and instead of a password I type my token that I saved in the clipboard before. Here it is. And my new credentials are added. Now I'm ready to clone my project from GitHub to my local machine. Cloning means basically copying it. I go to File, New Project, and I choose Version Control and Git. And now I need my repository URL that I had saved before in my clipboard. Here it is. There's a little typo. I used a P instead of a R. I keep that typo to be consistent. And now I can browse and decide where do I want my project to be. I choose this folder here, Cal-Poly. Open it. And I create a new project, but this project is connected to Git and GitHub. Now we're ready to test if everything works. So what I do here, and that's why I created a README file, I open this README file and I edit it by typing hello world. You would likely create new files, R files in this project, or QMD files, and you would commit and push them to GitHub. We do this with this little file here. I save it. And now I go to Git. And first I have to commit all the files that have changed. I mark them. And I hit the commit button. And you have to enter a message, my first commit or whatever. It should be descriptive, which my one clearly isn't. I say commit, and as a consequence, it is committed to my Git on my local machine. But if you do work with GitHub, you also want to push it to GitHub. Push. And here we are. It's now on GitHub. I can pull it down again. And GitHub will tell me that everything is up to date. Yes, because nobody has changed it. You have added successfully Git and GitHub to your RStudio project. And now every change you make in this project, you can commit it to Git and later on push it to GitHub. Happy analytics.